Andy Dalton, guy who will be supplanted at some point, presumably by Justin Fields. Dalton's got that 1-year, 8-figure contract. He comes in at number 29 on the Chris Sims quarterback top 40 countdown. How long do you think it will be? And it's funny, I'm looking this and it says, how long until Andy is wearing a hat and earpiece? I thought it said hat and hairpiece. And that's a very different connotation altogether. But how long until he's on the bench watching Justin Fields?
Well, he's going to have to fight him off. I mean, it's going to be, the pressure is going to be on him every day. I mean, yeah, Mac Jones is going to put pressure on Cam Newton. I do believe that. But yes, Andy Dalton is going to have to answer the bell and be on his game daily. With Justin Fields, the number 11 pick, we traded up to get him and do all those things. And that's what I'll say about Andy Dalton. First off, he's got more physical ability than we all give him credit for. Moves a little bit better than we want to give him credit for. Arm has a little bit more power than we want to give it credit for. He can push the ball down the field, outside the numbers, do all those type of things. He can move out of the pocket a little bit, but it's not enough none of it's enough for you to just go, man, he's our guy. He's the future. Here we go. He's one of those talents in the NFL where you go, oh, yeah, he could start for us, but I think we could do better. He is one of those guys, and I don't like to say that or be disrespectful in any way about that. He's had a great career. He still can do some good things, but I think it's going to be him having to play at a high level through training camp and preseason, and Justin Fields, I think, would have to play poor or do bad to not even be in the mix, Mike. I think in my heart of hearts, Mike, if I'm the Bears, and you hear me out here if you think I'm right or anything, I have a package for Justin Fields in week 1. When we go to play the Rams, okay, we go down, we score a touchdown. All right, we get the ball back. Andy Dalton, the offense, they go 3 and out. Oh, it's series number 3. Let's bring Justin Fields in. We got a few quarterback design runs. The Rams haven't been able to prepare for this. They don't know what they're going to do. Oh, we got a nice, easy game plan pass off of those runs. Okay, we got Justin Fields on the play for 6 or 7 plays in this, this series. See where it goes. Maybe if you go score points, maybe you keep him in. I don't know. But I would think you have a package ready to kind of slowly get him indoctrinated in early on in the year.
Something I heard over the weekend that made a lot of sense. Now, this sets aside the fact that Matt Nagy, the coach, and Ryan Pace, the GM, won't fully and completely be judged on Fields until 2022.
Right.
So maybe there is some reason to go easy with him. Matt Nagy, fully aware of the Patrick Mahomes career arc, which consisted of, what, in 2017?
Right.
Not playing until the final game of the season, a meaningless game where they played the Broncos, and he wasn't spectacular.
But he was good.
He wasn't anything, but he was good enough to get to say, all right, he's ready. He's ready.
Right.
But Nagy, who then became the Bears coach after that season, remembering that experience, remembering that value of having Patrick Mahomes sit, there could be an inclination, Chris, to have Justin Fields sit most, if not all, of the year and be ready to go come 2022.
I hear you. I do. I don't favor that formula. I don't. One, I don't think the Bears are in the same place as the Chiefs, so I think you might need Justin Fields to grow more than maybe a Patrick Mahomes, if that made any sense, really. But the other aspect, like that would jump out, or at least that I'll play devil's advocate, because of course we know that worked out great. But I'm still more of a guy that put him out there, get him to play. I know Mahomes had that great first year after sitting out, his rookie year. So now it's his second year. Who's to say that year wouldn't have been better, though, if he played his rookie year? That's where I think sometimes people just gloss that over and go, well, Patrick Mahomes sat out his first year, and the second year, and look at what he did. Who's to say he wouldn't have thrown for 62 touchdowns and maybe not been fooled by New England in the first half of the AFC Championship game when they were playing some crazy defense? Maybe that experience would have helped him play better in the first half of that game where they scored no points or anything like that. That's all I'm saying. I'm not to say I'm right or wrong, but I just think it's good food for thought nonetheless.
I remember Travis Kelce being on this show, 2017 season. We asked about Patrick Mahomes, and he was talking about the incredible things he was doing on the practice field. And then the Chiefs fell into a funk offensively, and we were saying, let's go.
Right.
Put Mahomes on the field. They resisted for whatever reason, but hey, they could have been in 4 straight AFC Championship
Who knows?
games, not 3 straight if they had gone with Mahomes. So just because it's worked the last 3 years for the Chiefs doesn't mean it wouldn't have worked in 2017.
Yeah, right.
And it is different, too. Andy Dalton isn't a guy who has equity built up with the Bears.
That's
He's
right.
a guy that they brought in and paid $10 million to, and they called him the starter, and they put QB1 on Twitter, and he may be QB2 before too long. Here's Jay Cutler, former QB1 of the Chicago Bears, appearing on ESPN 1000 in Chicago with his views on whether or not Justin Fields should play or sit.
I wouldn't play the kid to start.
Okay.
That's what I would. That's where I would start. I would let him watch, and I think it's just a tough spot to put someone out there, especially in Chicago. And I think Andy is more than serviceable. I think they can win games with Andy and kind of float the ship along until the kid's ready.
Yeah, and look, if Dalton comes out of the gates and plays well, then let it ride. And this is different than Jimmy Garoppolo. Garoppolo comes out of the gates and plays well, you let it ride all season long, then you got a problem next season. Andy Dalton would have to do a hell of a lot to throw a wrench into the plan for Justin Fields to be the guy come 2022. I don't think Dalton is going to be capable.
That's
and
right.
even if the Bears would be really good, no one's going to think Dalton's the one who came in and did it. So I don't think they have that danger if they do let Justin Fields sit. I'm just a firm believer. If you're going to trade up, if you're going to give up a future first-round pick and package it with this year's first-round pick and trade up to get a guy, a quarterback in round 1, fringe of the top 10, you better be ready to use him. And I can't come up with a good reason not to use him.
No, I mean, listen, Andy Dalton, they can win. They certainly do those things, but I'm like you. You're right. You make those type of moves. From all appearances, it looks like 2022 is the year, right? I want to have them ready. I don't want it to be like, whoa, this is the big year. My ass is on fire. We might get fired. Hey, let's throw our quarterback out here and let's see how he grows during the year. No, I already want him like some growth already there. And here's another aspect to where, again, I know they can win and do things with Andy Dalton, and we're supposed to be talking about him, but this is a Bears conversation either way. Right to this point, Matt Nagy's offense has not shown us like that it's going to be anything special. We've seen nothing to think schematically that there's something there with a guy like Andy Dalton that it's just going to pop, and here we go. Like, whoa, all right, awesome. It has a chance to be more special with me with a guy like Justin Fields. He's going to give you more schematical advantages in his skill set and what he can do, and maybe expand what I would call a pretty ordinary offense and give it a little bit more complexity and things to think about when you got a guy like Justin Fields who we know can run the way he can run, and even though he needs polish in his passing, has a stronger arm than Andy Dalton. I mean, he'll be able to launch 65 and 70-yard bombs to stress a defense out that way too. So that's where I get into some of the advantages of Justin Fields. Like, I hear what Jay Cutler's saying, but man, this guy played at Ohio State. He's been in the national championship game. He went to Georgia before that. I don't think the pressure is going to be too much for him. I think it's one of those things that if he shows he's kind of like ready, grasping the offense, doing good in preseason and training camp like you and I have discussed, that you slowly get him ready early in the year. And when you think the timing's right, you get him in there and you go.
I just don't understand the disconnect that we see where a team demonstrates on draft day how thoroughly it believes in a guy and then acts differently after that.
Yeah, I know.
In this day and age, that doesn't work anymore. And yes, the Chiefs got away with it, but for the most part, just like the 49ers, is one of the reasons why we're so confused about what they did.
Yeah.
All that you give up. And now you're still talking about Jimmy G being your quarterback. There's something there. There's a split there that I think a lot of fans and a lot of media look at and say, we don't get it. Right.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.